A tiny recall number can make the internet lose its mind, especially when the vehicle already has a stainless steel target on its back. You see 173 Cybertrucks, and suddenly everybody's doing fake math like a recall filing is the same thing as a quarterly sales report, which is how bad takes get dressed up as analysis. And before anyone starts burying the Cybertruck off one small RWD brake rotor recall, we need to look at where that 173 number actually came from. The number trap. The Cybertruck recall number looks clean enough to abuse, and that's exactly where people start getting sloppy. You see 173, and suddenly everybody's pretending they found Tesla's hidden sales report under the couch cushion. Cute, but no. A recall population is not the same thing as total demand, total production, or total deliveries. The actual issue is tied to a very specific group of Cybertrucks, equipped with 1/8-inch steel wheels. The affected population is 173 vehicles, and the problem sits in the brake hardware. That is not some minor trim annoyance. That is brake and wheel end hardware, which means it matters because anything affecting hub integrity and vehicle control gets serious fast. The fix also tells you this is a physical parts issue, not one of those Tesla recalls where everybody jokes, "Oh, they'll just send an update while you're eating lunch." Service has to replace the front and rear brake rotors, hubs, and lug nuts free of charge. That alone gives you the flavor of the problem. This is not infotainment, not paint, not software behavior. It is assembly-level, hardware-level correction on a small batch. So everyone starts reading smoke signals from VIN ranges, sightings, recalls, and delivery posts. That is where the 173 number becomes tempting, because it feels like a clue. It does suggest the rear drive rollout, especially with the base 1/8-inch steel wheel setup, was very limited at this stage. And that is where the real story starts, because the number trap only makes sense. The brake issue. Brake hardware is the one place where cute explanations need to leave the room. If a badge falls off, fine, join the club. But a recall tied to brake rotors, wheel studs, hubs, and possible loss of vehicle control belongs in a different category. The concern sits around the brake rotor stud holes. Those holes can crack from road impacts and stress through the hub assembly while cornering turns. You hit rough pavement, load the truck through a turn, the wheel end hardware takes force, and the rotor area around the studs fails to handle that stress correctly. Tesla has to replace the brake rotors, wheel hubs, and lug nuts with redesigned parts meant to increase the contact area between the rotor and hub. That detail matters because it shows a mechanical load problem. The parts were seeing stress in a way that required hardware changes, not a calibration tweak. The tricky part is how hidden this kind of issue can be. Cracking around the rotor stud holes is tucked behind the wheel, which means the average owner probably will not catch it during a driveway glance. Maybe vibration shows up. The sharper question now is why the affected population stops at 173 trucks, because that number only makes sense once you look at the specific Cybertruck configuration involved. Why only 173? The cleanest answer is also the least theatrical. 173 is not random, and it is not the whole Cybertruck story. The cheaper version that was supposed to make the truck feel more reachable, and the recall population tied to that specific 1/8-inch steel wheel setup, is only 173 vehicles. That is a tough pitch. If someone is already paying Cybertruck money, saving roughly 10 grand compared with the AWD version may not feel worth losing all-wheel drive confidence, stronger performance, and the version people actually wanted to talk about. The recall does not prove total Cybertruck demand by itself, but it does show how narrow this specific RWD batch was. A small affected population makes sense when the trim itself had a short, awkward life and limited appeal. That is the clue people should pay attention to. The 173 number is not just about defective hardware. That is why this Cybertruck recall does not feel like some random one-off to me. AWD and Cyberbeast came first because those are the versions that match the truck's image: power, traction, presence, and the full stainless steel circus. The recall does not prove the Cybertruck is doomed, but it does expose how limited the RWD experiment really was. And now the smarter thing to watch is how Tesla reshapes the lineup. The real verdict comes from the next wave of service data, owner complaints, used prices, and whether Tesla can make this thing feel less like an experiment and more like a repeatable truck business. That is the number I'm watching now, because Cybertruck's future will not be decided by one small recall. It will be decided by whether the next problems stay small too.